Hello friends, it is Friday. It's not even noon, the Friday before Easter, and I am gonna do a weekend reading vlog. So my goal for this weekend is to finish my March TBR and just read pretty much as I can. My husband is out of town this weekend, which is why I thought this would be a really good weekend to do this. I've seen other people do like 24-hour readathons where they actually try to read for a full 24 hours, like they time themselves, and so I think I'm gonna do sort of a riff on that and time my reading to see how much time I spend reading this weekend. Now, I'm currently reading two things. I'm in the middle of Heads of the Colored People, who the author's name I can't remember. It's Nafisa something Thompson, I think. This is a short story collection about different Black people in America and how they experience their Blackness. It's interesting, it's fine. I don't really have a ton of cohesive thoughts on it right now, but it is doing the thing that I like in short story collections where each, like the characters from the short stories are like interspersed and know each other, which I always think is fun. So I am enjoying that aspect of it. I'm just over halfway and I'm listening to that as an audiobook. So I will hopefully finish that today. I'm also like 80% of the way through What the River Knows by Isabel Cañas? Is that her name? Isabel Ibanez? I don't remember her last name now either, so that's embarrassing. But this book is about this girl, Inez, whose parents, she's from Argentina. Her parents are Argentinian and Bolivian, I believe, but they've been going to Cairo every year for like half the year, her whole life. And she's never been, and then at the beginning of the book, her parents die, and she gets this letter from her uncle, who was in Cairo with them. Basically, this uncle she's met like twice, I think, in her whole life, and she's 18 at this point. And he basically is saying, like, your parents are dead. I'm the trustee of your account, so if you want to use money, you can let me know. Like, this is how much you have, blah, blah, blah. And she decides that she's going to go to Cairo, and no one's going to stop her. So she does. And then when she goes, she's trying to figure out what happened to her parents, first of all, and, like, what's going on in Cairo. Because I don't know if they're actually archaeologists. There's also magic in this world, which is kind of confusing. It's not well explained how the magic works, but I'm just sort of ignoring that fact and vibing with the book. It's comped as being similar to The Mummy and Death on the Nile. And I don't know if those are actually good comparisons or if they're just both set in Egypt. So, but I am having a good time. It is like a very fun book. There's also a little bit of like a love interest, romantic thing happening with this character who works for Inez's uncle and Inez, and I think that's pretty fun. But overall, I am really enjoying this one. Again, I'm about 80% of the way through the ebook of that book, and hopefully I will finish it this weekend. The other thing that I wanted to sort of do in this vlog is give like a life update, because I haven't posted in a while. Part of the reason I haven't posted in a while is 2 weeks ago, I put in my 2 weeks notice on my job. So like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I started interviewing with another firm, so I am moving jobs. It's still in the city that I live in. It's not that far away. It's a couple blocks away, actually. But that has been very stressful and time consuming, and it's just been a lot happening all at once. I wasn't looking for another job, so that's part of why it's like, it's felt like a lot. And I definitely got like decision fatigue. I felt like I couldn't read because I couldn't focus on anything because I was so stressed out about choosing whether or not I was going to leave the firm that I'm at to go to a new firm. Because the firm that I'm at, obviously, like every job has certain issues that you're not like super totally 100% happy with. But then there are things that I really love, and it's like, I just sort of did the thing where I was like, is the risk that the things that I love at my job currently won't be there at the new job worth risking? Like, is it worth the risk, basically? I did like pros cons lists. I was flipping out about it. I decided, so it's fine. But that does mean that I have the next week off of work. I decided to do that instead of just going straight to the next job because, first of all, I'm lucky enough that I can afford to do that. I can take a week from getting paid. And also, I just needed a break. So I'm going to be going to Vermont next week to visit my friend Katie, who was one of the bridesmaids of my wedding. She lives up in Vermont. I'm going to go visit her, and I'm really excited about that. That'll be like next weekend. But this weekend, I'm doing this weekend vlog, and then I might do a vlog next week. I don't really know. We're just going to see how this goes. But that is my plan for today. I'm also going to Orange Theory at 3:45. They have a like free class. Your first class is free. So I previously had a gym membership with my job, but since I'm moving jobs, I won't be in that building anymore, which means I don't have that gym membership anymore, which means that I'm in charge of a gym. I think my husband and I will probably end up getting a Planet Fitness membership because it is the cheapest one. And he just wants to use the cardio machines, and they have like weight machines. It's not like, I don't need like a super regimented gym thing, but I've heard rave reviews of Orange Theory and Bar. So I'm doing both of those, have a free class option. And that'll be nice. That way I can take the free class, see if I like it. And if I do enjoy it, I can like occasionally pay to take a class. I think it's like $30 a class. They are expensive memberships though, at least Bar. To go unlimited, like to an unlimited number of classes, it's like $180 a month. And then it's like $130 for 8 classes a month, like 2 a week, which is just a ton of money for me personally. I know that gyms are expensive, but that seems like a lot. So I'm not going to get a membership, but I just want to try the classes out, see if I like it, and then potentially I could pay to take other classes. I know yoga is something that my husband also brought up to me because I do enjoy yoga, but I just feel like I can do yoga at home pretty easily. So I don't necessarily need to join a yoga studio. Although I did have a yoga membership for a while when I was living with my parents. It was in the summer between like semesters in college. I got like a summer promo deal at a yoga studio there. I think it was Core Yoga. I don't remember. But I liked that a lot. And I would go like 4 to 5 times a week, which was great. But I just don't know if I need to do that. All of that to say, welcome to this vlog. I will update you when I have updates. And I'm so excited to have a good weekend and to not have anything to stress about until, this time next week. Hello, it is now Saturday night. This vlog has not gone at all the way I planned it to go, because, oh my god, I'm so sore. Okay, so I did Orange Theory yesterday, and my whole body is very sore. Look, Murphy is right here. Hi, Murph. All right, cool, we're chilling. I had a really busy day again today, so I went to my sister's house pretty much first thing this morning. It's like an hour away, so I woke up around 9. I hung out in bed for a little bit, and then left my house at like 10:40. I got back here just before 5, after spending the day with her and the kids, and my brother-in-law, obviously. And then I had dinner plans at 6:30. So in the car ride, I have managed to finish Heads of the Colored People, which I think I'm gonna give 3 stars. I think it was fine. None of the stories have really stuck out to me a ton, although it did do the thing that I like where several of the stories had characters in common, but like from a different character's point of view or during a different time in that character's life, which I think is interesting, but ultimately I didn't love it. I have also listened to about a third of We Came, We Saw, We Left. I was wrong about what I thought this book was about. Please stop. It's a family gap year trip for 9 months, but it's not like a road trip across the US in an RV like I thought it was. I think I just got that because there's an RV on the cover. It's literally a worldwide trip. So it's very interesting, and it's like a bunch of funny stories. I don't know that I'm loving it, but I am really enjoying it, and I do think it's like a fun concept, and it is based on a true story, so I am liking that one. But it's a trip that this family called the Wheelers took back in, or the Whelans, maybe, took back in 2016, and they start off in South America. I will say something that is kind of annoying to me about it is each chapter starts with like a line or a phrase of some sort that is then repeated later in the chapter. So it's like giving you a sneak peek on what's going to happen in that chapter. And at first I thought like my audiobook was screwing up, and then it was like starting at another point that I'd already listened to, but it happens every chapter. So I'm not really sure what that's about, and I don't love that. But it is good. So I'm glad I'm listening to it as an audiobook. I'm having a good time. And then the other thing I wanted to say is I'm hopeful that I'm going to be able to finish, what is it called? What the River Knows today. And I know it's part of a duology, and I believe the second book comes out this year. So hopefully if I finish the first book, I'm really loving that one. I think I've already talked about it a little bit, so I'll spare you the details, but I'm hopeful that I will be able to finish that tonight. And then tomorrow morning, I have another Orange Theory class. I don't know if I said that already, so I'm going to go to that. I'm so sore though, so I don't know how it's going to go. But that'll be fine. And then Matt gets home tomorrow. And so I don't know if I'm going to extend this vlog through the week or what I'm going to do. But yeah, that's what I've done so far. I haven't taken any B-roll because I'm a terrible vlogger, but hopefully I can get back into it. Murphy? Murph? He is just ignoring me, but that's fine. So I'm actually going to take my contacts out now. And I will talk to you when I talk to you. Hello, I'm once again reporting from my car in a Starbucks parking lot. But it is actually now Monday. Matt has switched work schedules to where he works from home 3 days a week instead of 2 days a week, which means Monday is one of his work from home days. So I was running some errands today just to get out of the house. I don't mind being home while he is working, but it is a little like, I don't know if awkward's the right word, but like, I just feel like I know he doesn't actually care. It's a me thing, but I feel weird like watching something on TV or like making noise, just existing while he's trying to work. So I'm at Starbucks. I'm obviously in my car. I went through the drive-thru. I'm so sorry. I'm putting my finger in, but I got my usual, which is a nice dirty chai. I really like Starbucks chai personally, but I wanted to give you some reading updates. So yesterday I finished What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez. I gave it 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. It does end on kind of a cliffhanger, so I'm glad I waited to read it because I think the sequel comes out this year and hopefully I will be able to read it in a timely manner. But I also entered a giveaway on Goodreads for the sequel, and I've never won a Goodreads giveaway, but it'd be pretty exciting if I won this one because I really enjoyed it. But I don't know if I've explained fully what this one is about, but it's about a girl. No, I think I have. So she's in Egypt trying to figure out what's going on with her parents, and she's discovering certain things. There's like some distrust going on with her and her uncle and some of his associates. I really liked it, and then I was really rooting for the romance. The romance was really working for me, so I was excited about that. I finished Heads of the Colored People, which I think I told you. I gave 3 stars. I thought it was fine. And then the last thing I finished yesterday was We Came, We Saw, We Left by Charles Whelan, which is about this family trip that Charles Whelan took with his wife and his 3 children when he was like 50, I think. And he, as I suspected, he works as a professor, so he was able to just take an academic year off and then come back and have his job. And his wife, I think, is also like a teacher. So she just took a year off as well. But they go to 6 continents, 9 countries, etc., etc., etc. It was really interesting. It's full of like quirky, funny stories. It wasn't like the best written book I've ever read, but it was an interesting concept, and I liked the way that he framed the stories. I think I did mention my pet peeve with this one was that there was every chapter or section started with like a phrase or a sentence or a paragraph that was then repeated later in the section, because it was like he was giving you the plot point of what he was going to talk about, and then when he talked about it he used the same words. That was kind of annoying for me, but once I figured out what was going on, I didn't mind it as much. But those are my thoughts on that book. I think I ended up giving it 4 stars. I have since moved on to reading some other things, so I'm currently reading The Dog of the North by Elizabeth McKenzie, which is about this woman who has just gotten divorced or separated from her husband. And she is like going to visit her grandparents, I guess. Her grandma is obviously developing dementia, and she's started hoarding things. So she, the main character is Penny. She has made this elaborate plan where she's going to go to her grandma's house. And then there's a guy who's been helping her grandma out, and so that guy's name is Bert, and Bert is gonna like distract her grandma for the day. She's gonna get in there, clean the house. There's also a gun that her grandma's not supposed to have that she's gonna like remove from the home. So there's this like plan, and things are just sort of going awry. I'm not really liking this one that much. I think it's kind of boring, and I don't know. Like, I think the description made it sound like it was gonna be very funny, and I don't think it actually is that funny, which is fine. It's just not quite my cup of tea. So this is hovering around like a 2-3 star. I hesitate to give it 2 stars, but I do think it's just so boring. But I'm like almost halfway through that one. The other thing that's happening in this one is that Penny's parents they moved to Australia. They like immigrated, and they're missing now. No one's seen them in like some extensive amount of time. So yeah, that's what's going on with that one. But yeah, I just wanted to give you some brief updates and tell you that I'm extending this vlog through at least the week. It might just encompass my entire week off with my trip to Vermont and stuff. Yesterday, Matt got back from his bachelor party. We hung out a little bit. He got back around like 2 o'clock, I think. Maybe 3 o'clock. I don't remember exactly what time it was. But I've just been hanging out with him. I ended up staying up really late last night, so I slept until like 10 o'clock this morning. But I stayed up until like almost 3 in the morning watching like movies. I watched The Yellow Handkerchief, and then, which is one of my favorite movies. I don't know if other people remember that. It's from the late 2000s, like 2008 maybe. And it's Kristen Stewart, Eddie Redmayne, I don't know the other characters, but it's like Kristen Stewart plays a 15-year-old girl. Eddie Redmayne plays this, like, I think autistic guy. I don't know. There's something, it's never like directly said that he's autistic, but I believe he's probably on the spectrum. And they meet at like a gas station in this small town, and she's just been rebuffed by her crush. And so she gets Eddie Redmayne. She wants, like, the way their town is set up, there's like a ferry that goes across the river. So he has a car, and she's like, let's go across the river. And then they also meet this convict who needs a ride because none of the public transportation goes that far in this town. And he is not an escaped convict. He's just been released from 6 years in prison. And it's about these three characters getting to know each other, learning the backstory of the guy who just got out of prison. And it's a lot about him, but it's also about like Kristen Stewart and Eddie Redmayne's characters' relationships. I don't know. I love that movie. I don't know if other people have seen it, but I truly love it. And there's another character in the flashback scenes named May, who is so Charlize Theron coded. Like, I thought it was Charlize Theron. And then I rewatched it and was like, oh, it's not even her. But it's a really good movie if you ever get the chance to watch it. That's what I did last night. So that's my update for this vlog for right now. And I will let you know when I have another one. Hello. It is now Tuesday, April 2nd. I did not get pranked on April Fool's Day. Thank God. I'm not a big pranks person, so April Fool's Day gives me a lot of anxiety, but it was nice knowing that I was like pretty much staying at my house. I did go to Starbucks, like I mentioned, and then I ended up going to my bar class last night. The pros, this is not going to be a workout like video, but the pros to bar, I guess, I do feel like pretty sore, and mostly, interestingly, in my like upper back and arms. I did not realize it was going to be as much arm work as it was, but they do like arm exercises, core exercises, leg, and then butt. And so, or like inner thighs and then glutes. I really liked it. Like, I definitely felt like it was harder than I thought it was going to be. The cons, the first class is just you and the instructor, which is kind of a pro, I think, for some people, but for me, it was just a little awkward. And then it's also run like a normal class because the point is to like get you used to a class, but it's just you and her. And I had a really hard time understanding what she was saying with her microphone. I don't know why. It was like the combination of the microphone and the music. I just like could not understand it. Also, you have to have the like special bar socks. And so they were like, oh, you'll just buy a pair when you get here. I swear they told me they were $10. I don't know if they picked a pair that was $20, but I bought it ended up being like 22 something with taxes for these socks that I guess I'm now gonna own. They're like grippy socks. They're cute, but that was not something that I expected to do. So that's kind of a bummer, but yeah, I don't know. I liked it. I don't think I'm gonna get a bar membership. First of all, they're very expensive. It's like $180 a month for unlimited classes. And then their cheapest membership, I wanna say, is like just under $100 a month, and that's for 4 classes. Or you can buy individual classes for $30 a class. I think I'm much more likely to just pay $30 whenever I want to go to a bar class, because it just doesn't seem like something that I'm like, am dying to do, if that makes sense. I preferred Orange Theory. I'll say that much. And they also, both gyms were very big at the end of your free trial on like selling you the membership, which I get, but also I'm kind of like, I told both of them, like Orange Theory on Friday, I was like, yeah, I've got a couple other free classes that I'm trying at different gyms. I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do as far as memberships go. If I want to do a class-based membership like Orange Theory or bar, or if I want to just do a traditional gym membership that has some classes that you can either add on or that are included. And that's what I was telling everybody. And both times they've been like, so do you want to sign a membership thing today? We have a deal going on today if you sign it today. And like, I'm not really interested in that. Also, bar, to apply or like to sign up for a membership, it's an additional $60 your first month, which is so much money. And she was like, well, we half it if you sign today. So it's $30. And I'm like, okay, so you want me to pay like $200 and something today? No. And maybe I'm just like cheap, but it's not for me. So they were really nice though. And I think if you like that kind of thing, I think you would really enjoy it. I just don't think that is the type of class that I really like. Again, I much preferred Orange Theory to that. But that's just me. So why was I talking about that? Oh, I'm just telling you what I'm doing today. I'm about to go get lunch in a little bit. It's 10:30. We're meeting for an early lunch with one of my former coworkers. So I'm gonna go grab lunch with her around 11. And then I'm going to my niece's gymnastics class tonight. which I'm very excited about. She's 4, so I don't know what exactly they do, but my sister was like, since you have the week off, do you want to go to gymnastics with us? And I was like, indeed I do. So I think it starts at 4:30, which means I'm probably going to leave here around 2:33 so that I can get on base and we can get wherever we're going. That's my plan for that. Sorry, I just got a notification about my lunch. The girl I work with sent me a calendar invite for it, which I guess is how she organizes her life, so it makes sense, but I just thought it was very funny because people in my normal life don't send me calendar invites for things. But I wanted to update you on my reading now that we've finally gotten through that. So yesterday I finished Dog of the North. I gave it 3 stars. I got to a point where I was really enjoying what was happening, and I was just sort of like getting into, it's just about this woman who is kind of having like a midlife crisis and the things that are happening to her. It's very meandering, not a whole lot happens, and then it just sort of ends, and that I had a problem with. This is one of those things that I feel like I could watch it as a movie and be fine with it, but as a book, I was like, okay. So I don't know if I fully recommend that book to you. I think it definitely has an audience. It was longlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction or whatever last year. Which it came out last year, which I did not realize, but it came out in March of 2023, so I read it like a year after release. Yeah, ultimately, like a lot of prize books, I don't know if I have the, like, mind to really love literature like that, so, it was fine. I definitely think it has an audience. I don't think it was a bad book. I know I was saying that I might give it 2 stars because I wasn't enjoying the first bit, but once I got into the fact that it was, like, not really about anything, it was just sort of about this character and, like, the things she's doing in her life as her marriage has fallen apart, it became fine. So, yeah, 3 stars for that one. I finished something else yesterday, too, didn't I? Oh, I'll just mention it briefly. I'm not rating it because I haven't read any of the other books in the series, but I found out that Nico Mirallegro, who plays Finn Nelson in My Mad Fat Diary, which I'm doing a full video on My Mad Fat Diary, by the way, because I'm rereading the first one and reading the second one, but that's in a separate vlog than this. But I am doing that right now because I want to compare the book and the show and do like a cultural rewind episode on it because I think that would be fun. I don't know if it has an audience anymore, but I'm excited to do it, so I'm going to do it anyways. But he has narrated some audiobooks, the actor who played Finn Nelson, and I listened to one of the audiobooks that he narrated, mostly because I was curious to see what he sounded like with an American accent. Can't confirm, not very good. He uses his like British, he's Manchurian. He's from Manchester. What is that, the Manc accent? I don't know. So he has that primarily, but then he also slips into a Welsh accent because some of the characters in this book are from Wales. The book, I don't know if I mentioned, it's the 4th book, the 4th novella in the Shadowhunters series. So there was a series of novellas released related to that world. It is described as a standalone novella, and it's about this guy, Simon, who I think is a main character in the actual Shadowhunters series. But he's at the Shadowhunter Academy, and he learns about this guy, James, who was at the Shadowhunters Academy in 1899. And that's the bulk of the story, is about this kid, James. I don't know. It was fine. I'm not reading it because I haven't read any of the other books in the series, but it was fine. I don't plan on reading any of the other books in the series. To be honest, I didn't plan on reading this book. But again, I saw that it was on my library's app, and I was like, may as well. It was like a 2-hour audiobook, so it was not hard to get through. I did listen to it. I could not listen to it at 1x speed. I don't believe that people actually speak that slowly. Sometimes 1x speed is so slow. I don't speak at 1x speed. I think I'm at 1.5 at all times. So, for me, anyways, it was very difficult to listen at 1x speed. So I upped it to 1.25 and then I upped it to 1.5. But that felt like I was kind of losing the ebb and flow of the voice. And the whole point of this was for me to listen to the voice. Anyways, this has gotten weird. But I did that. And I finished that yesterday. And then I started Graceling by Kristen Kishore. That's what we're getting to. I do have an audiobook of this, and it's a full cast audio. So I'm very excited about that. It's good so far. It's about this girl, Katza, who has this thing called a grace, which basically in this world, if you're born with, or if you develop, because some people aren't born with 2 different colored eyes, but they develop 2 different colored eyes, you go to the castle and you live there until your grace is discovered. And some people have a grace, they can hold their breath underwater for a really long time, and that's not as useful. So then they go back to their families, and there's apparently a lot of problems with that because you still have 2 different colored eyes, so everybody knows you have a grace, but they don't necessarily know what it is. But Katza's grace, I think it's Katza. Now that I'm saying that, I'm wondering if that's wrong. Anyways, her grace is that she has the grace of killing. So she's an assassin. She's very good at killing people. And then where we're at in the story, it starts with a heist almost, because there's been this old man from a neighboring kingdom, I suppose, I don't really know, who was kidnapped. by this other people. And so she went in with her, like the king's guard, because she works for the king of her land or whatever. She went in with the king's guard to get this guy out of being kidnapped. So like re-kidnap him back. And then she runs into this other guy who has a grace, and his grace is fighting. So I think there's gonna be a little bit of romance with them. His name is Prince Poe, and I think there's gonna be something there. But Prince Poe sort of scuffles with her, and she's really excited about it because she's like, oh my God, no one else can fight me. But they get the king, or not the king, they get the old man, they bring him back to their palace because they're trying to figure out why he was kidnapped and by who, basically. And Prince Poe goes to the palace because he's looking for his grandfather, who is this guy who was kidnapped. And he sees Katza again. He knows that she took his grandpa. So now they're all like working together. I don't know exactly what the plot of the book is going to be outside of that. I assume we're trying to figure out who took grandpa and why, and what's going on there. But I'm excited to continue reading it. I like it so far. I'm, again, like not even 20% in, so I don't have a ton of thoughts, but that is my brief update. That's been 11 minutes recording. So I will let you know when I have another update, hopefully very soon, and I will see you later. Hello. This lipstick is not going well, but it is Thursday morning. I'm about to head to the airport because I'm going to Vermont this weekend. The weather up there is pretty crazy. So my friend that I'm staying with texted me and said that she's not sure. She lives in like a rural part of Vermont. And she was like, sometimes with bad weather, they close the mountain. And if they close the mountain, she's not sure if she can come and get me right away. So I might be staying at a hotel in Albany, New York tonight. So if I do, you'll hear from me. And if I don't, then you'll know that I made it. But the tickets were non-refundable. So I was like, well, I'm coming regardless. So hopefully, fingers crossed, this all works out. And I'm hoping that it does. But I wanted to update you. I'm almost finished with Graceling. I'm really, really liking it. Okay. It's like a very fast-paced story. And like, I really like the characters. I like Poe. I like Katza. I like Bitterblue, who's this little princess that they end up going to save. She's like related to Poe. I think she's her cousin. She's his cousin. But I'm having a really good time with it. I have heard some people say that they think Katza is annoying. I don't think she's annoying. I like her. But that's it. I'm running out the door because it's time for me to go. But I wanted to give you that update. I hopefully will finish the audiobook either on the way to the airport or in the airport. And then I will start something else. I don't know what else I have lined up to read, but I have a couple other audiobooks. I think I know I have Zen in the Art. No, not Zen in the Art of Faking It. What am I talking about? A Zen Cho book. What is it called? Something about the pure moon, the full moon reflected. No, I don't know. I'll pop a picture here. I'll talk about it when I'm reading it, or when I've read it, more likely, because I think I will probably be able to finish that. And I did yesterday at my hair appointment. I don't know if I talked about that, but I did go get my hair touched up. That's why it's a little darker, and that's why my roots are not popping through. But I started reading Kingdom of Copper while I was waiting for my color to set. So I'm not that far into it, like less than 10%, but I am liking it. There is a 5-year time jump at the beginning of this book. This is a sequel to Empire of Gold was the last one. What is it called? City of Brass. This is the first one. And it's a fantasy series about Jinn. The first book starts off with this girl who is living in Egypt, and she is able to like tell when people are sick. And so she's not a healer, but she's like almost. She works really closely with this apothecary, but she also runs a con with the apothecary where she will tell people that they have these ailments so that they will buy things from this apothecary, and she gets a cut of that. And then one day she's doing this like ceremony that I don't think she really believes in, but then she accidentally does summon a Jinn, and they get swept into the world of the Jinn, and the story sort of goes from there. So I have started the sequel to that. I won't be able to talk too much in depth about what's happening in the plot, but I hopefully will give you updates on my feelings. So far, I'm liking it. I'm having a harder time getting back into it than I thought I would, primarily because of the time jump. And it's been a year officially since I read the first one. I read the first one last April, I believe. So that's where I'm at. I will let you know when I have other updates as they come. Hello. It is now Monday. This vlog should go up today, hopefully, in theory. But I wanted to come in here and close it out and let you know the last things that I read. So, I did finish Graceling by Kristen Kishore, and I did end up giving it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I don't know that it was like a love or like a new favorite, but I did really like it, and I do hope to continue that series at some point. Again, this is the one that's a fantasy, like a YA fantasy from 2008, I believe. And it's about this girl whose name is Katza, and she has the grace or the ability to be really good at fighting. So I think her grace is killing, is what it's like pitched as. And then it's sort of a heist book, but then it becomes about this mystery, not mystery, but like kind of like political intrigue type thing to figure out why that the elder from this one tribe was stolen, or not tribe, but like kingdom, and like what the reasoning behind that is. And then it gets into other things as it goes along, and you learn more about the graces, and different people have graces and what they are. It was really, really good. I did really enjoy it. I also read the entirety of The Order of the Pure Moon Reflected in Water. I won't lie, I wanted to DNF this at the beginning, and then I decided not to because I was listening to it while I was flying, and it was like the only thing that I had to listen to. I did end up giving it 2.5 stars. And in my review, I said I would have DNF'd if I wasn't reading it on a flight. But it was a really, really short audiobook. It's essentially about, what is it about? It's this, how do I even describe this? So it's not the book. I think I've talked about this book before being something that Books and Lala really liked. It's not that book. But this is about it's like an Asian inspired fantasy, heavily inspired by like Kung Fu movies, which is fine. But again, it's something I would prefer to watch. I don't really like to read about fights and stuff like that. But you have this, the Order of the Pure Moon is a like group of nuns, and they all have shaved heads. And at the beginning of the book, you follow this nun who is at a cafe where she works, and she gets accused of cursing somebody at her job and being a witch. And then she meets this group of bandits and sort of falls in with them. And then it goes from there. Again, I thought it was kind of boring. Don't really recommend. Gave it 3 stars. I'm glad that I read it, I guess, to get it off. I'm glad that it's not on my TBR anymore. But I don't know that I really recommend it. And then the last thing that I finished in this vlog was actually Kingdom of Copper, which is the second book in the David Bad trilogy. And this book had really bad middle book syndrome for me. So it's, the premise of this whole world is that in the first book, you meet this girl, Nari, who is in Cairo. And she's always been able to like tell when people are sick and when something's wrong with them. And she's been able to heal people. But she runs this con at the beginning of the book where she will tell people that they have this ailment so that they'll go to this apothecary, and then she gets a cut of the profits from the apothecary because she sends people to them when they don't really have these ailments. And then she ends up doing this ceremony to, I guess it's kind of like an exorcism, but she ends up summoning a djinn, and then she gets swept up into this magical world, and she finds out that she's djinn or part djinn and how that sort of goes for her. I really, really enjoyed the first book in this series. I can't remember if I gave it 4 or 5 stars, but I really liked it. I read it about a year ago. And then this book has a 5-year time jump at the beginning, and it's just very middle booky. Like it's introducing you to more parts of the world, but I didn't find it the most interesting. And it also, like, up until the last like 30%, I was fairly bored throughout. The last 30% really picks up, and I really enjoyed that part. But overall, it's just not something that I really love. I am planning on reading the 3rd book next month to finish out the trilogy. There's a read-along going on right now, so I'll try to link that for you. You still have time, obviously, to read the April book because it's only April, 8th today. So I will link that for you if you want to participate. And I think they'll have live shows, so that's exciting. They did start with the first book last month, but again, I read that a year ago, and I didn't feel like rereading it, so I didn't. But yeah, that was the end of my reading journey. I did not take any clips while I was in Vermont, which I kind of expected because I don't really like filming around my friends. And like, I don't really advertise to my friends that I have this YouTube channel. I think a lot of them know, but it is awkward to be like, hey, can I film some B-roll for my vlog? I'm just not like, that's just not the type of YouTuber that I am, I suppose. So I'm sorry, I like seem kind of tired today. I am kind of tired today. I had my first day at my new job today. So I'll probably update more on that. I'm thinking I'm going to go back to doing like weekly vlogs-ish. We'll see how long that lasts, but that's my plan. But yeah, those are the books that I finished in this vlog. I don't know. Let's try to do a quick recap. So I know in this vlog, did I finish Clash of Kings in this vlog? I don't remember. Whether I did or didn't, I gave that 3 stars. It's the 2nd book of Game of Thrones. I gave What the River Knows by Isabella Banez 5 stars. And I really, really loved that book. I gave We Came, We Saw, We Left, A Family Gap Year by Charles Whelan 4 stars. I enjoyed that book a lot, but it was not a perfect book for me. And sometimes the writing I didn't fully get along with, but I did really enjoy the story. of that one, and I gave The Heads of the Colored People, which is a short story collection by Nafisa Thompson Spires. I gave that 3 stars because I thought it was fine. I gave Nothing But Shadows, Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy by Cassandra Clare. I didn't rate, actually, but I did listen to that. And again, I didn't rate it because I haven't read anything else in that series, and I just read it because Nico Miralongro does the audiobook, and I wanted to hear what he sounded like reading an audiobook, which is weird, but it is what it is. And then I also read The Order of the Pyramid, Reflecting Water by Zen Cho. I gave that 3 stars. I read Graceling by Kristen Kishore. I gave that 4 stars. And I read Kingdom of Copper by S.A. Chakraborty and gave that 3 stars as well. So that's the end of my wrap up for this vlog. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you would like to see more videos from me, you can go ahead and subscribe to my channel. If you've read any of these books and have a differing opinion or agree with me on anything, you can leave a comment in the comments down below, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!